Welcome to tonight's live. We are talking about why men and women can't get along. Now, of course, I don't believe that, but that's what a lot of people believe that men and women just don't mix. I have a lot of women who say that they're just better off being by themselves because nowadays they can take care of themselves. They got the toys, they got the devices, they can make their money, they can get their own companionship, and if they wanted male company um, sexually, they could just call somebody. And yeah, okay, that's something you can do. But I think we're missing the true meaning of relationship and what men and women really mean to one another. So I just want to welcome you in as you come in. Tonight, I am doing some coaching. So if you have questions about anything, and I mean anything, it could be relationship related, it could be about something else. I will answer it for you. So I'm going to jump into it. I'm doing these lives because I think it's important to talk about what's going on in our communities. We have a lot happening. We see a lot on TV, we see a lot on social media, and just everywhere, even in our own homes, we're seeing a lot. So I think it's important that we talk about what's really going on. All right, so I'm going to get into it. So, what is the reason that it seems like we can't get along? I want to break that down for you. Welcome in, amazing people. My name is Salonda Smith, and I am a psychotherapist by trade. I'm also a coach. I am a coach. I work with men now, women too, but mostly during couples. But I work with men, and it is helping them survive and thrive and have the best amazing relationship they can possibly have. All right. So this is what we're going to say. This is what we're going to talk about tonight. Men and women, and really what makes them different and similar, because there are so many things that men and women, when they come together, they can create some incredible experiences in life. So first, I want to talk about the differences. Okay, now there's a lot to this. I'm not going to go through the entire list because that's like a whole training on men and women that I actually do. Tonight, though, I want to give you an inside look that maybe it can answer some questions for you as to why your relationship seems like it's just on another level. Okay, now let's get going. I do have something to drink tonight. You guys forgive me. I have some tea because my throat has been scratchy. The weather is changing. I know everywhere is changing, but it's definitely changing where I am. So just forgive me if I take a little sip here and there. Hopefully, you got you something you can sip on or something you munching on. And I appreciate you being here tonight. Okay, so men and women, what's the real story? So, since the beginning of time, with all of the different books that we have that we reference history, the religious books, the text that was supposedly scribed by folks old back in the day, and they kept record of what happened all the way up into this time. Okay, now don't forget that people will always tell their story from their perspective and from their experience. People love adding adjectives and adverbs to embellish a story. Now, I'm not going to say that what's written in religious text or even history books is not correct, but it is not the whole story. It's written from one point of view. Well, that's what happens in relationships. There's two point of views, really three point of views. There's the man, the woman's, and then someone looking in. It could be the child's point of view, it could be the grandparents' point of view, and it can be a therapist or a coach's point of view. If you are open to hearing other people's point of view about your relationship, then I guarantee you it will get better. All right, I'm going to just break it down for you. Who are men and who are women? It's all biology. Seriously, your partner is not doing things to torture you on purpose. It's how they're designed biologically, physiologically, physically, hormonally, mentally, even spiritually. It's just who they are. Also, upbringing, how your partner was raised with their caregiver or caregivers will determine how they treat you in your relationship. Not only that, but what experiences they've had as young people, as in their 20s or even 30s until now, depending on how old you are. Every experience shapes your reality when it comes to a certain behavior or it comes to a mindset, or even how you defend yourself. Okay. All right. So, what's happening? Men. Men are designed because they're super focused. Yes. They're super focused when they're concentrating on something, it's just the one thing that they're concentrating on. Okay. And oftentimes, when you want their attention and you're talking to them, and while they're doing something else on the side, they might not get all of what you say because they are designed to be more task oriented. Now, I'm not saying all men are like this. That's not what I'm saying. Many men are like this. He's focused on one thing and one thing only. So when you come and ask him for something, babe, can you do this for me? He's like, yeah, okay, I got it. And then he doesn't do it. You're wondering, like, okay, what's happened? Like, I've asked you for this thing. Where is it? Why haven't you done it? It's because he was single focused and he was doing something else. So you have to approach him with his attention on you. Why? Because he has higher levels of testosterone than you do. Testosterone makes a person driven to complete a task, to win at that task, to feel like they are valued and that he can win at what he's doing. Okay. Women, on the other hand, we have that drive too, but we don't have as high levels of testosterone as he does. So for us, we want to win too, but along the way, we want to collect some other things. We want more information. We're interested in the experience, the feelings of what's happening and what's going on. That's because we have higher levels of oxytocin. Okay, I'm getting a little technical here first, and I'm gonna get down into the nitty gritty of everything. But higher levels of oxytocin makes a woman want to bond, want to talk about what happened to her friend and the whole situation where he just wants the bullets. So that's just like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the differences between men and women. It's really how we're designed biologically with how we respond to each other. And you cannot treat your spouse the way you do your friend, the same sex friend. So, men, you can't treat your woman like you treat your man or your friend and you talk to him, your man friend. Ladies, you can't teach or treat your man like you do your women friends. It doesn't work that way. Have you ever noticed when you try to talk to him and you're getting good into the story? Not all men are do this. Some men are very good listeners, excellent listeners, right? According to our definition. But if he was talking to another man and he was going on and on and on, eventually he would say, man, can you just get to the point? Because that's his nature. So, ladies, have you ever noticed when you try to tell your man a story and eventually he's picking up his phone or he's looking off the distance or he's looking off the side or he's twitching in his seat? Biologically and hormonally, he's designed to solve the problem, period. So, if you're not telling him what he needs to solve, he's getting antsy because he's feeling like, well, what do you want me to do? I got to do something. I'm a doer. Now, some will listen and they'll hang in there, especially my older couples. Like they've trained each other to respond to one another. So he's probably trained himself. He's rewired his brain to listen. And she's probably rewired her brain not to talk so long. Now, this isn't everybody. Hey, Tone, how you doing? This isn't everybody. Okay, because somebody will call me and say, well, Solana, not everybody is like that. You are absolutely right. That's why I'm saying some people are like this. We're all very unique. We're all amazing. But you have to keep in mind men and women think and process differently. Also, have you ever noticed, ladies, when you ask your man a question, do you ask him one time or do you ask him several times in a different way? Let me clarify that. Some of us will ask the question, well, okay, babe, like, when are we going to leave to go to the movies? Question. That's it, to the point. Some of us will say, well, babe, when are we going to leave and go to the movies? Because I want to hurry up and get some popcorn. Like, I think we should leave like probably in 5 minutes because I don't want to be late. So do you think we should probably leave early so we can find a park? Or do you think we need to pick up some stuff from the store, like some candy, and then just take it to the movies? That's you asking the question. Same question, different ways. And believe it or not, he interprets each of those questions differently. Yeah. He interprets them as a separate question. Question number one, what time are we leaving for the movies? Question number two, are we going to get there early so that we can buy candy? Question number three, should we stop at the store and get the candy? Different questions to his mind. Gents, you have to remember that women typically like to talk. They like to pad information with more adjectives and adverbs. That's just how it is. They like to tell the whole story and get it out because they like to bond. So if you're finding that she's going overboard a little bit, just say, yo, babe, wait, hold on. Let me make sure I got this. And then just tell her the thing that you did hear and just say, okay, I didn't catch the rest of it because I was so focused on that first thing that you said. That's a way to get out of making it sound like you wasn't listening. So it's really important that you say, hold up, just let me take a step back here. Tell me again what you got. Um, it's really important. Like, this is the big thing for me when it comes to men and women and people thinking that they don't get along. It's because you're trying to treat your spouse like they're your friend, your same sex friend, like not like sexually same sex, but men, you treat your women like you do your men. Women, you treat your man like you do your women girlfriends. And granted, you might have a spouse that can roll with you that way and speak with you that way and have conversations, but majority of the time, you have to switch gears when you get home. I'm not saying you can't be yourself or you can't be in friend mode. Be mindful of the capacity that your partner has based on the body they're walking in, based on what they've experienced with their caregivers, because they've been trained to respond to things differently. You might think they should respond a certain way. That's called an expectation. That's a major issue as to why people think men and women can't get along. You have an expectation of how you think your man or your woman is supposed to behave based on your caregivers, based on television, based on social media, and based on the fears and the judgments you have in your own mind about relationship. Deep, isn't it? Like, we don't go that far. We just say, "Ooh, I like you. You look good. Okay, you look good too. You check off most of my boxes. Okay, let's try this out." That's okay. You can do that. But go a little bit deeper and find out who you have in your life. I'm sure that most of you have told your partner most stories about your life. There might be a few that's been left out that might be key to the reason that they respond and act towards you in a certain way. All right. So, one, be aware of who you're working with. Who's in your life? Who do you have? What's their story? How does it match up with your story? Men and women should fit like gears. We should complement each other with an E. Men and women complement each other. They're not meant to be the same. We have different skills that we can bring to our team to build the best and most amazing and ultimate life adventure possible. Like, this is the real goal. Okay. This is really what it is. Yes, absolutely, Tone. This is what it's really about. Because if you go in expecting your partner to do something, now let me clarify this. An expectation is different than an identified goal. If you talk about what your vision is with your partner, you guys are sharing this, then somewhere in that conversation you'll say, "Oh wow, I didn't think of it that way," or "I'm not sure I can do that, but I can do this." Or should I say, "And I can do this." I corrected myself because I don't use the word "but" a lot. The reason is, but negates what you just said in the beginning. You know, I love you, but when you leave the toilet seat up, yeah, not so much. I'm telling that person that I don't love them anymore because they left the toilet seat up. It's semantics, it's the language. Just think about it for a moment. Have you been in a conversation with someone and they're explaining something to you, but as soon as they say but, you switch gears and you become more defensive, or you're not listening as attentive as you were? Our language sets up these contexts in our mind to listen in certain ways and respond in certain ways. But we don't know that. We just think we're talking and we're having a conversation, which is true. But there are also trigger words. Not only is the English language set up like that, and other languages are too, you have your own set of trigger words from when you were growing up or when you had some tough times in your life. And they sit dormant, waiting, for an opportunity for them to come up and you can act out. Act out, it's kind of like a therapy term, but that just means act beside who you really are. You do something that you might regret to your partner or even to yourself. So the reason you and other people and myself included act up in relationships is because we haven't had a proper education about how relationships should be. I'm not offending anybody or judging anyone. I'm just saying. Like when I was in school, we had to take wood shop. So I learned how to make a birdhouse. We took home economics. What did we do? We cooked. We learned how to sew. Learned about children. We learned about the reproductive system. Like they did all that stuff. And we even had an elective for automotives. I don't know if they're still offering that right now, but they gave us the tools that they thought we needed to build a relationship. I think they should have also included information about how to have a marriage or a relationship with somebody else that you're going to be with 24/7 a day, supposedly, for the rest of your life. To me, that's where the skill set really should have been focused on. How do you handle yourself? How do you handle situations that come up in a relationship? How do you become a team and thrive, even when stuff isn't always good? How do you still show up, get beside your own drama, your pain, your traumas, your feelings, your mishaps, your expectations, your resentments? All of that comes to the surface. How can men and women really get along? One, by knowing who's in your house. Like what really makes them tick, not that surface stuff. Their favorite meal, their favorite color, their favorite flowers, their favorite movie, their favorite car. What makes that person really thrive? What makes them want to get up every morning? What makes them want to stay alive? That's my question. Because that is what really needs to be nurtured in order to help them feel like they're their best and moving towards their greatest potential while they're here on this planet. When you find that out, when you find that out, a lot of the stuff you're arguing about that you seem to be at odds about will go away. Your relationship is not a competition, but we treat them like they are. For some reason, we let this person into our lives. We're being voluntarily vulnerable, meaning we're letting them in our space. And then we treat them like crap and expect for them to be there tomorrow. Because they probably will. Yeah, absolutely, Tone. Because they probably will, because they love you so much. They've taken all that crap off of you. But that's not how it's supposed to be. That's supposed to be the person that you can trust the most. You can love the most. You can rely on the most. But instead, we take them for granted that they'll be there when we misbehave. So not only should you get to know who you're living with, and there's many ways to do this, treat that person with the utmost respect and praise because they've chosen to create a life with you. Everybody can leave when they want to. When I work with couples, they don't like when I say that. You can leave, right? Instead, they're thinking they're trapped in the relationship and they get upset with me because I let them know that you can actually leave. You don't have to stay. The problem with that is that they don't like hearing that because they've invested a lot. They've invested money, they've invested time, they have children, they have property, they have businesses, they have mental collateral and property that they have put into their relationships. They've invested a lot. So now I'm saying, oh, you can just end it. They're like, no, that's not possible. That makes them more motivated to want to work on what's happening in that relationship. Third, look at yourself. Who are you? Who are you becoming? Who do you want to be? Are you not happy with who you are? And then you put the blame on your partner? You're not happy with the state of the world or your condition, or maybe your family's condition, your friend's condition. Something is getting to you and it is affecting the relationship. But you're not a therapist. You're not a coach. Maybe this isn't that obvious to you, and that's why getting help can really be an eye opener. But it shouldn't be okay for us to walk around and blame everybody else for a life that we're not having that we wish we had. The truth of it is, a lot of people are afraid to step out and really work towards what they really want in life, but instead they settle. And I'm going to say this, you even settle for the people in your life because you think you can't have the person that you really want, or they taking too long to get to you. And you don't like being by yourself, or you don't want to grow old by yourself. Being by yourself is the best thing you can ever have in life, because when you master that and become happy in those moments and rely on yourself to create joy, anybody who comes into your space would automatically have to match your energy of being joyful and happy. You will repel those who are not happy or don't want to create happiness in your life. Or you will attract people who are not in their space because now they want to sort of be with you to take your happiness and your joy either away, or they're trying to suck on it. They're trying to make it theirs and just suck the life out of you because they don't know how to create their own. So this is something that I want you to think about in your relationships. Who's in your life? Do you know them well enough? Because that's super important. What do you want for yourself? What can you do for yourself? How can you show up better? And what can you do to make the relationship like the ultimate experience? What can you do differently? And I want you to think about that. What's one thing that you can do differently? Without all the things I've said, I know something has had to ring a bell for you. Is there something that you can do differently in your relationship? And I'm not just saying get up in the morning and make some breakfast, or get up in the morning or make the bed, or, you know, things like that are good. You got to get into a routine to have a strong mindset. But what's something that you don't often want to look at that you know you have an issue with that needs correcting? And if you correct this thing, you will have an awesome relationship. Like, what is that thing? And two, if you're watching, if you have questions, just go ahead and pop them in the chat. I'll answer them for you. I really want you to win at your relationship. I mean, I might not never have met you, or you might be family. You know, whoever you are, I love you to life, because you deserve to be happy no matter what. I don't care what your background is. I don't care what your caregiver experience was like. I don't care what you've watched on TV. I don't care who's hurt you in the past. We're in the now. You have to live right now, not in the past. What you think about the most is your reality. That's just how it is. What you think about the most is your reality. Even the stuff you don't want to think about or you don't want to happen, it's looming and waiting. It might not happen full force, but like little parts of it ekes out and stops you from getting what you want. The truth is, we really do complement each other. And if we learn to accept each other for who we are from a biological perspective, your relationships will be much better. Communication rules the nation. Absolutely. And it's interesting because communication is just a mode of transportation. And the transportation is taking you to a conversation. And the conversation is taking you to compassion and understanding. Compassion and understanding takes you to bliss. Bliss takes you to a state of understanding on a deep level that not everything has to be argued about, talked about, fussed about, or even made aware to your partner. What am I talking about? Your partner leaves wet towels on the bed. No matter how many times you've asked your partner to grab that towel, it just doesn't seem like it's something they can do. So can you accept that this is something that you're just going to have to do, is just pick up that towel and just keep moving? What kind of energy do you want to spend on fussing about that when this partner shows up to birthday parties on time? When this partner remembers your anniversary? When this partner makes sure that you've eaten in the evening, even though you've gotten late, but you still want to complain about a wet towel on the bed? So we have to continuously check ourselves. We want everything to be so perfect in our lives because we don't want to feel like we're breaking down or falling apart if the things in our life doesn't match what's in our heads. That's an expectation. State of mind is everything. It's everything. So here's your homework. I got some homework for you. I want you to think of that thing that you would like to make better that you do. For me, it might be something as simple as leaving cabinet doors open, which isn't healthy because not only has my partners hit their heads on the cabinet doors, I have too. So I'm going to work on closing cabinet doors. I'm going to stop moving so fast around the kitchen, trying to hurry up and get the task done. I'm going to slow everything down. When I worked with couples and clients before COVID, when I had an office, uh, I would have them do this exercise of walking down the hallway super slowly. First, I would have one of the partners blindfolded, and then the other partner would guide them to make sure they don't run into any walls or corners. Okay, very tightly, like locked in. And then on the way back, the partner barely held on, who was blindfolded, barely held on to the other person's arm so that they can start to trust the process and start them or trust themselves. Not only that, it helped them slow their mindset down so that they can get in tune with themselves and become more aware of their surroundings, more aware of what's going on in their minds. Because many times when we have tantrums, I'm gonna call them what they are. When we have tantrums, when we have upsets, when we're yelling, when we're screaming, we're really not in our right mind, meaning the one that's calm and can solve the problem and doesn't harm our bodies or our minds. Because guess what? Every time you get angry, it takes 15 minutes off your life. Read this in the medical journal years ago. You are putting strain on your body to hold this energy of being upset because it's like a tightness. Everything tightens up in the body. And if the organs are tightening, they can't function right. So just think about it. When you're mad all the time, your organs are screaming for some help. So, what's your one thing that you're going to work on? Like I said, it doesn't have to be something like really deep and emotionally tied right now, but just something. I'm working on cabinet doors. Yes, after all these years, I still leave them open. From time to time, I'll remember to close them, but that's just my thing. And I don't beat myself up over it. I don't judge myself over it. I just say that's just one of my things at this time in this lifetime. Also, I want you to remember, I want you to get rid of some words in your vocabulary. I'm always talking about this because, like in the beginning, I talked about the English language and how we can get in trouble with it. I want you to eliminate the word but and replace it with and. Just try it out and see how it works. If it doesn't work for you, go back. Okay? Just go back. Okay, yes, Tone says she's working on impulse buying. Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that. Because all what we do is for us, and then people in our circle, in our kingdom, in our territory, in our houses, they benefit from it too, but it's for us first. Okay, so I love that. Impulse buying. Yes, we got impulse buying and we got closing cabinets so far. And if you watch this later, I really want you to think of something you want to change. Just work on it for the week and then see if you see any difference. See if your partner recognizes anything different later on. If they don't bring it to your attention, don't be upset. Just go over and say, hey, have you noticed that I've started doing X, Y, and Z? And they may not have because they might be wrapped up in something or doing their own thing. Absolutely. Okay. What if but feels more authentic in the moment? Okay, then my question to you, what is the reason that you're using but? What does but mean to you? Because we have to think about our word selection when we are in our flow. And but might feel strong, especially if we're trying to prove a case, right? So, Felicia, if you're trying to prove a case, that might be why you're trying to use but. And also, it's okay to use it. I would say not to use it to prove the person wrong. Use it as less as possible. But give me an example of when you would use but, Felicia, if you can. Um, Let me think. So a non-threatening way to use but will be, um, hey, can we walk to the park today? But if you don't want to, that's okay because I know it's raining, right? So that but kind of gave that person an out not to agree to walk if they don't want to because it's raining, or can we walk to the park today? And if you don't want to, that's okay too. So you can hear the difference in the two. Um, When you find an opportunity to practice, just practice the words but and. Another word I like for you to eliminate is can't. I can't do this. You can do anything you want to do. It's just how I see it. You just choose not to. So don't use can't when that's not the truth. You're just choosing not to. Won't, when you say I won't do something, that already sets up a defense to your partner. They're saying, oh, well, they're completely shut off and don't want to cooperate or don't want to do what I would like for them to do. They're not cooperating with me. Won't sets up a separation between you and your partner. I'm not planning to do that. Yeah. I'm not planning to do that, or I don't want to do that, or um that's not going to work for me. So you have to find like a workaround when you're trying to reestablish your communication. Okay. Yeah. Let me go back to the chat. When accepting my spouse's perspective, yet trying to get him to understand my perspective. Absolutely. It still will work when you say and. This is the reason. So let me read it again. When accepting my partner's perspective, yet trying to get him to understand my perspective. When you say but, when you're trying to get someone to understand your perspective, it pushes them further away because that means that they're thinking you don't want to hear their perspective. Even though in your mind you are, like you said, you want to, they're still thinking, oh, well, she's still challenging me. What I said doesn't matter. That's how the mind works with the word but in context. In context. So perhaps be upfront. Yeah, understood. That makes sense. I'll work on that. Yeah. And sometimes you can just say, I really don't want to sound defensive. That's not my goal. I want to hear your perspective. I'm hearing your perspective. Could you hear mine too? You know, can we do that? Okay. And I'll talk about we in just a moment. But, can't, won't, and never, never say never, because I never said I would live in an apartment again. When I left where I was living, Atlanta, and now I'm someplace else. And to start, I had to get an apartment. So never say never. Again, you just never know where your life will take you. Plus, it sets you up, it limits you to possibilities. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Felicia. It limits you to possibilities. Never. So why use the word we? I love the word we. Even though I'm leaving the cabinet doors open, I still will say, babe, oh, how can we close these? How can we close these cabinets? And he'll look at me and just laugh. Okay. He was like, yeah, okay, it's all you. But what happens in that moment is that I make light of the situation so it doesn't turn into an argument. I'm asking for my partner to help support me in this thing that I'm having issues with or I'm learning to master. I'm involving that person in what's happening. So blaming someone for something, first of all, it sets you up so that you can't get the problem solved. Don't blame. Don't point out, well, you the one left the doors open. Okay. You the one that didn't take the garbage out. You the one that didn't pay the bill. You the one that forgot to lock the door. Everybody knows between you two or the family that this event happened. It's already done. Pointing it out to the person and making them feel badly about it is not going to fix it. Supporting to say, okay, the door was left unlocked again. How can we fix this? What can we do to make sure we lock the door? When you do that, it sends a signal to your partner's brain to say, oh, one, they're not blaming me, so I'm not going to throw up my defensive wall real quick on them. Two, they want to work on this issue, right? I'm not getting scolded, but my person actually is being considerate and knowing that I have this issue and they want to help me with it. I know it can be annoying if you've been married for years and your partner is doing the same thing over and over again and it just annoys you. I get it. You may want to change the language. Just try to change the language around it. It's like an award system, especially when you tell your partner you want to work on it. They're like, oh, okay, I'll get some help with this. And they're not blaming me. I'm all in. That's how the brain works. The brain works on rewards, awards. Okay. So I want you to remember that. That's really important. So men and women can get along. They can get along excellently. We were designed to get along very well. The issues have been interference with family members saying how your relationship should be, religious orders, perhaps for some, miseducation about the complementary sex. I don't say opposite sex, I say complementary sex. About the complementary sex. It could be our own deep fears that we haven't healed on our own. Like I know a lot of people, men have deep issues with men, like deep issues. If dad wasn't there, if they were abused, if they were assaulted, if they saw their mother treat men poorly or their female caregiver. Men have issues because mothers love them too much, because she ignored him, because she wasn't there, because she didn't love on him as much as she did the younger brother. We all have a story. Do you want to keep telling that story though? You can bring it up every once in a while, but start telling the story about how you really want to live before you leave the planet. Like before it's your time, like what do you want to look back and say, this is what I did in my relationship and this is how we operated. That was the best time I have had in my life with one person or many persons if you're polygamous or in an open relationship. That's on you if you do that. That's okay. I don't condemn that. You got to figure out what kind of life you want to live and live it happily and proudly. So last thing I want to leave you with, and something you can do to make sure that you have a great relationships and that men and women can get along is something so simple. And that is to tell your partner, thank you. How many of you are already doing that already? How many of you tell your partner, thank you, still for the things? I don't care if you've been together 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 30 years. Do you say thank you when your babe hands you a glass from the cabinet? Do you say thank you when they open the door? Or do you just walk on through because you've gotten used to it? Do you say thank you for, wow, I appreciate you being with me all this time in my life? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, me, Tony says me. Yeah, you have to. For two reasons. One, for your partner, so that they know you're appreciative and they will still be motivated to do things for you without you having to ask all the time. Okay, little secret there, little secret sauce to getting more out of your partner. And two, for yourself to be grateful. When you say thank you, you are always in the moment of remembering to be grateful for everything you have. Like I give people a grateful exercise to do whenever I do retreats or even when people work with me. I tell them for 1 week, every single day, I want you to get a journal and you write down what you're grateful for. If it repeats, that's okay. I'm grateful for breath. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for Starbucks coffee. I'm grateful for this comfortable ride I have. I'm grateful for, my church or spiritual family. I'm just grateful. Yeah, Sherry, indeed. Yeah, yes. Thank you is a much overlooked expression. Absolutely. So it's like in the moment of being present with yourself. Like I'm grateful that you all are on this session tonight, and I appreciate you. We have so much to teach each other. Like everybody has their gifts and talents, like that, their jam, the thing that they do. We all fit like puzzle pieces. I had an elder teacher tell me that we were all puzzle pieces. And when we come together and put our pieces together, we make a whole and we can tell a whole story. And we can continue to support each other around our rough edges or edges that don't seemingly fit together. But when you find the right pieces and put them together, the whole beautiful story unfolds. This is really what life is about. I don't know about you, but I want to really maintain my happiness, my peace in life, my focus. Like that's what's most important to me. And anybody who comes into my circle, I want them to have the same energy to match so that we can create some amazing things in this life. Like that's my goal. And I hope that that's your goal too. Yes, yes. Gratitude is the key for self happiness in relationships. Absolutely. And Felicia, I'm grateful for you sharing your knowledge. You are so welcome. And peace is so important. It's so important. Wow. I'm so grateful for everyone. I want to just say thank you for being present. I hope this information was helpful. You can pass it on to somebody else, and just do you. Be happy with you and allow those things that you really want from your heart to come to you. Be in the flow, be in the know. I appreciate you. So I'm going to go ahead and end our call tonight. You will see me back here again. This is something regular that I want to do, with more juicy topics, I hope, to talk about what's happening in our lives. I appreciate everyone so much. Big blessings and good night.